Charlie Kirk. I don't know. I have a feeling on how this conversation is going to go, but I do want to have a level of understanding and clarity about what has happened. I want to get people's true thoughts, about what's happened, but kind of keep it on the road because I know where this can go. But, yeah, he was murdered yesterday. He was murdered at a college in Utah. I forgot the college name, but they said that was his first date of the Prove Me Wrong tour, and where he sits and he has, debates with people as far as politics, gender roles, trans, gay, anything that you can talk about. Charlie Kirk sits up there and he answers your questions. I'm not going to lie. I think that is a very innovative way to create content. The people who I see doing it aren't the best examples because Myron does it. Myron Gaines, in which I seen a stream of him last night, and he actually has an event in North Carolina, in Asheville, and where he was like, damn, I don't know if I should go. They were telling him not to go because of the possibilities. I think that is a very innovative way to do content, but, it bit him in the ass yesterday. Somebody, whoever that person is, took it upon themselves to take Charlie Kirk out. I seen the video, very, very graphic. Looking at that video, it put life into perspective, a little bit for me. I remember first going to the gun range, or the only time I went to the gun range, and I shot the pistol. I told you I didn't know where the bullets went. And I also shot a rifle, and when I shot it, I was like, damn, how do people survive this shit? Because it's like guns ain't nothing to play with for real. So when you see the video in its totality, the impact, hitting his neck, the people running crazy, I was just like, damn, to me, that put a lot of things in perspective. But then we also have to talk about the man that Charlie Kirk was, as far as his, political rhetoric. And we can't overlook that, right? So I want to get y'all points. How do y'all feel about the situation? And then we can just go from there. Go ahead, Kenya.
I mirror a lot of Mark Lamont Hill sentiment towards it. I think I really agreed with what he said yesterday. I aired on the side of, me personally, I was airing on the side of, we can still talk about like who he was, or say that he was a bad person, or talk about things that, we didn't agree with. But it, like Mark said, and I think like that, it was a really good way that he said it, because I think that was everyone else's sentiment. It's not so much that, oh, you should feel a way that this racist guy died, or because it wasn't like he just died, right? He didn't have a heart attack or anything. He didn't stroke out. He didn't get in a car accident. Like, he was assassinated, in a really crowded like event. That is crazy. And that's okay to say. Like, regardless of who he was, that's just a crazy thing to witness. I think it's really messed up for the people that had to like stand there and see it. The guy that was asking him the question when he got shot, if you go back and look at that video, like, my heart ached for him. Like, he asked the question, the guy got shot, and then it's like he went into like a catatonic state. Like, imagine that happening a few feet in front of your fucking face. I really couldn't imagine. I think we're so desensitized, and I think the level of like like whatever that word is, I feel like we're at the heights of it. I don't even know how much more desensitized like we could get past this point. So I don't care to sit up and debate about how people should feel about his death, because I think that everyone's take is valid. It's okay. You lived the life that you lived, and he wanted to be a public figure and do those things. I think, yeah, people do have a right to speak about the life that you lived once you died. But I don't like the very flippant sentiment towards what's happening, and we should not be assassinating people at college like events because we don't like them.
Yeah, very, very true. I don't think that there is any room for this. I do think that you never know who is out here. And who's crazy and who's not, right? We had these conversation about, what's my guy? Charleston White, right? And just the messaging and how he says it and the things that he says and trying to, stoke the fire and provoke these emotional responses. And there are people out here who take that shit really, really seriously and take that shit to heart. And then, it's crazies out here who decide to take this shit into their own hands. I think that it is, very, very ironic. The last question that he was answering about, gang violence and what happened to him, because of his sentiments towards, community. I told y'all I watched the Jubilee, 20v1 with Charlie Kirk on there. Very, very nasty, to say the least. Misinformation, blatant lies, when it came to our community, when it came to a lot of different communities, the trans community, the homosexual community, xenophobia. There are people who believe, in their shit, in whatever their shit is. And I think that this was a byproduct of, the conversation that he has and the nastiness. And a lot of times, I'm not gonna lie, the evil in what he's saying. And so on one hand, do I think that niggas should be shooting folks at the goddamn universities, sniping niggas on the roof? Hell no. But on the other hand, these are a lot of the things that you have said and people, identify and believe, hey fam, we got to get cuz up out of here. Go ahead, Rasheen. Then we got Scoli. Rasheen, what's the word? I hope it ain't no both sides talk.
Yo, I hate y'all. Every time I come here, I get bullied. But, nah, man, man, it was a crazy, crazy day yesterday. Crazy day yesterday. Man, just a whole mix of emotions from so many talking points that people were saying and whatnot. And, like, when everything happened and I went to bed, I woke up, I just still felt weird in some way, right? Because Charlie Kirk has been nothing but a antagonizer, a provocateur, right? Like, he goes to these colleges and he doesn't try to, 'cause I hate when people try to spin it that way, right? Oh, yes, it's freedom of speech, yada, 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 sharing of ideas. Okay. If you see it that way, but I can't help to also see it as Charlie Kirk is going to these colleges intentionally and purposely trying to spread propaganda, right? That's what he does. People like him, Candace Owens, the Time and Lorenz of the world, the Ben Shapiro's, that's all they do. They just want to spread propaganda and they want to claim it as free speech and all that stuff, but they're low-key just doing like weird, evil stuff, right? So, I say that to say, again, I don't wish death on the man, and it's unfortunate how he died, especially in such a tragic way. But, part of me also feels as if like I can't, like I feel even guilty saying this now, like, I hate that he kind of low-key contributed to the mess, right? Because what I was trying to say in a space last night was like, where's like a little bit of like discernment, a little bit of your awareness, a little bit of like, okay, things are so heightened, maybe I should like tone it down a little bit. He didn't care. You know what I'm saying? He did not care. He just went around still being braggadocious, went around still being arrogant, thinking he was just going to be protected always. Like, I really think he thought his whiteness would always protect him. And the irony, like you said, right? Because he would tweet stuff like, well, some people got to die to protect the Second Amendment. Like, that just sounds crazy. We don't need more guns to rule out violent criminals with guns. Like, it's just, that doesn't make sense. So the irony that you said this and now you died, I think again, just kind of proves the arrogance. So, and the last thing I'll say, like I said, because there's so much stuff going on last night. I didn't like how people were trying to like police emotions. Are there trolls out there who kind of like low-key celebrating his death? Yeah, I can get the argument and say that maybe you don't agree with that and that's fine. But again, Charlie Kirk is not a nice person, right? So and I can sympathize. Yes, he has a family and, I feel for the family and the kids and all that stuff. But yeah, I didn't like how people were just trying to police other people's emotions if they either feel indifferent or feel maybe a little bit elate. I don't, maybe elate is not the right word, but happy in some ways that this man has passed because of just who he was, just who he is as a person, you know?
Yeah, I get that. Go ahead, Scoli.
Tough day for the whites, man. Tough day for the fucking whites. I'm not shocked that, somebody that spit a lot of hate speech got a lot of hate rhetoric in his passing. Like, the internet's gonna be what the internet is, so it is what it is. But just keep the same energy, because when somebody that's beholden to us passes and white people are saying, oh yeah, good for him dying, he did nothing but good, like, it's gonna come back. So, keep your comments to yourself. Go in your car, roll your windows up, and say it out loud in your car when you're by yourself. But just don't be part of the people that's on the internet praising somebody getting duffed out when you could have just kept that to yourself.
Go ahead, King. I don't necessarily agree with that. I'm not gonna lie, Scoli. Go ahead, Kenya.
I'm sure you don't, but because I just got a question real quick. Because the whole hateful and what we don't like, I'm not taking that away or saying that he wasn't that, but like, where do we really draw the line? And because I had this argument with Fresh last night where when Kevin Samuels died and all the big girls or all the girls that felt denigrated or hated on and they were saying a he, the irony of you telling me not to drink or eat and you died from them Red Bulls, ain't that funny? They said that was horrific. You're not allowed to do that. He had a good message sprinkled in there with the hate. Wouldn't that not be the, like, why? So just say it's for messages that you like and don't like, right? Because weren't those black women, weren't they valid to say that then?
No, no.
What?
I think in all of these cases, really, right? Because when we see the, the hurtful shit that Kevin Samuels said, or the shit that a Charlie Kirk said, it's hurtful. And the outcry is, hey fam, stop doing this shit because it's hurtful, right? So to fight hurtful with hurtful, I think that I can understand the sentiments, right? I can understand it. I don't think it's helpful because it only fuels the fire. It's like this tit for tat shit. So guess what? Now when a black person dies, haha, and then we feel hurt about that. So now when a white person dies, haha, like, it's like, all right, fam, like, the shit is bogus. And I understand people's feelings about it, but in my opinion, it's bogus. I ain't gonna hold you. Go ahead, Cam, and then we got, Kyra.
What's up, y'all? So I wasn't participating in none of the spaces last night. I saw some of it on my TL. You feel me? And like, this is what I want people to understand. This guy was purposely and intentionally spitting hateful rhetoric about black people, about women, about black women, about the kids in Palestine, about gun rights, about gun violence, right? Purposely and intentionally inciting negative feelings and negative, reactions towards those things, correct? Now, he got blicked down in Utah, which is one of the most whitest states in America. People are also saying that this possibly could be, maybe an assassination from that administration because he was bringing up the Epstein files. What goes on and what a lot of people don't like take into account is that, oh, well, like, it's only black people being hateful and all the liberals are celebrating. I'm like, bro, like, it's memes of George Floyd all over this site. When Mike Brown died, people made fun of his death too. So it's like people who are racist or people who have misogynist or even like somewhat violent rhetoric, right? They don't care. They literally do not care. So getting on here and trying to talk about what's godly or what's righteous or how you try, like how you were saying, like trying to police other people's feelings, that's not realistic, bro. What's realistic is that when you're a hateful person and you say hateful things, people don't have sympathy when you die. You can be an innocent person and people won't have sympathy when you die.
Yeah, I think there's a difference though, Cam, in not having sympathy and celebration. There's
I
a difference
mean,
in my opinion.
okay, so like, just to bring this up, right? Where were all the thoughts and prayers and where was all the condemnation for like the kids who got shot in Denver yesterday at school? Where
I
was all
mean,
that?
we're gonna get to that, but I don't that we can have a singular conversation, right? We can talk about that being nasty and the celebration being nasty and the Denver situation being overshadowed, right? We don't have to do, the comparison game. We don't have to.
No, we don't have to, Rashad, but that's the problem in itself, is that you got all these people saying, oh, well, like, I don't care what his political views were, or, someone shouldn't be, but bro, Fred Hampton got killed for his views. Fred Hampton, bro. So it's like, why you want it one way, but you don't want it the other way when we're talking about injustice? I just really think that's hypocritical as a whole, honestly.
Go ahead, Kyra. How you feeling today? You all right?
I'm good. I'm not gonna get up here and say anything that's gonna be like, oh, why would you say that? Oh my God. I want to start by saying like prayers to his kids because they were there when he got shot and that's traumatizing. I want to say that. But not to his wife. I would never sit up here and say prayers to to his wife because you married that man, you knew what his views were, and you stood beside him when he was spewing this shit. As a wife, and as a woman. That's not, you're supposed to go marry. Put it down.
Is that me or is that Kyra breaking up?
She's breaking up a little
Yes,
bit.
she's
Yeah.
breaking up.
Yeah, I'm about to say you
Okay.
got it a little
Yeah, you
clearer,
breaking
Kyra.
up a little bit, Kyra.
Yeah.
No,
Might be to the area.
I couldn't. Okay, he got added.
Kyra, try
Mother,
one more
can you
time.
hear me? Okay,
Yes.
sorry. So, again, I don't remember where I left off at. I'm gonna say this. I think
You
people,
said his wife.
yeah, I'm not gonna sit up here and send prayers to his wife. I don't care. It is what it is. But the empathy thing, I think that we need to stop acting like everybody deserves empathy. That needs to stop. If somebody is out here spewing hateful rhetoric and going around acting like they're this godly or acting like that their God is the best God in the world and that their God would want black people to be dead and gay people and trans people to be dead and all this other shit. No, fuck him. That man literally did not give a fuck when those kids at these schools were getting murdered. They were getting murdered. And nobody is laughing that he died. We're laughing at the irony of how he died. You literally don't give a fuck that kids were dying at school and then you turned around and got killed out of school. What? That is ironic, isn't it? So no, the empathy goes out the window when you're sitting up here saying the shit that you're saying. No, I don't care. And everybody's like, oh, he didn't believe half the stuff he said. Yes, he did. Because if he didn't believe it, he wouldn't have said it. Words have power. It's going to come back to you at some point. Now,
That was another thing that I wanted to ask y'all, but let me read some of these quotes, that Charlie Kirk said, right? I put them in the jumbo. It says, gay people should be stoned to death. It says, leftists should not be allowed to move to red states. Where was the quote where he said Martin Luther King was an awful person. There was gun deaths are acceptable in order to have the Second Amendment. That was a big one, and where I think he said that in reference to a school shooting. If
Necessary casualties. That's what he called it.
yeah, and so
that's exactly right, Rashad. He said that in reference to a school shooting and then you got shot at a school. So
Isn't
imagine
it
how
ironic?
crazy that is. That's insane.
White people not gonna let you take away their guns, bro.
But that's the thing. Nobody wants to take away their guns. People have to realize nobody needs an AR-15. Nobody needs an AK-47. Nobody needs that. These guns are being used to kill children.
You're not
Like,
hold on.
finna make
We
any
gonna get to that. We gonna
adjustments
get
to
to
my
that.
right
One
to
second,
bear
Scoli.
arms.
that's,
You got the cart before the horse. Hold on, cart before the horse. We gonna get to that. I promise. I wanna talk about that. All of that encompassing this, but I just want to focus on the Charlie Kirk in first reactions first, and then we can get to the branched off conversations. Let's go with Sonny G, and then we got Rasheen. Sonny G, what's the word? How you feeling? Sonny G once. Sonny G twice. Gotcha. Yeah, so Kyra did bring up something as far as whether this guy was a grifter or not. and people saying that he didn't believe the things that he said. Um, is there some validity to that? Because I think in especially the climate that we are in now when it comes to politics, I think we have seen that the quickest way to level up and rank up, especially on the right, is to say the most ridiculous thing that comes to your head. And the
Right.
people who are doing that at a high level and most charismatic and most consistent, those are the niggas that are rising up. And he was one of those guys. I mean, like Charlie Kirk or not, Turning Point USA was generating tens of millions of dollars, right? Having 800 chapters across all high schools and universities across this country. So that wasn't no shit to turn your nose up at, right? He was getting it done in his realm. But was it an aspect of him knowing that this is profitable and I can make some bread? Or did you think that he truly believed that? Go ahead, Rasheen. Well, Hotep up here. Go ahead, Hotep, and then Rasheen. What's the word? How you feeling, my guy? Can't hear you if you talking, Hotep.
Yeah, I can't hear anybody. What's going on?
Elon fucking it up.
Can't hear you, Hotep. Go ahead, Rasheen.
No, yeah, it's just a kind of callback to what you were saying earlier, right? And to what I was also saying earlier too. It's, the optimistic person in me, I feel like, emotions are super high because, there's so much happening yesterday. And, I remember like to kind of bring about an example into how I'm feeling with this. And I forget like in the NBA finals when KD was on the Warriors and they were playing Toronto and it was game 7, right? And KD ruptured his Achilles that game. And the Toronto fans like were like, applauding damn near like, oh wow, like KD's down, we could probably win this thing. And after a while, they like realized the severity of the situation and they tempered their emotions, right? So I link that to this, right? Like again, not that I say I want to police people's emotions because I feel like that was happening too much yesterday. And I didn't really like that because, again, you got that list up there. Charlie Kirk is not a nice person. And, again, am I dancing on his grave? No, I'm not. But if people feel vindicated to do that, I can't hate them for doing that either, right? But hopefully there could be a time when we can say, what he did was not right. Maybe the trolling and all that stuff maybe wasn't necessary, but hey, it kind of is what it is. That's all I want to say on that.
Yeah, and I don't honestly, and we're gonna get to this, I don't like how as soon as he died, there were so many prominent people with platforms, including the president, who immediately started pointing fingers to the left, right? Not knowing who the nigga was, what was his ideology, what was the reasoning for this. It has to be them niggas. I didn't like that
Yeah, they
aspect
did
of
all
it.
the time. That's
That was very,
textbook
very
one.
nasty. I ain't gonna hold you. Sonny G, you with us?
Yeah, I'm here, Rashad. What's good, bro?
What's the word? How you feeling?
I'm good, bro. How you feeling?
All good. Another day. Got to get to it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. So my opinion is, I feel like people mixing the dope when they having this conversation. Um, it's free. It's freedom. My question would be, and I really haven't spoke on this, bro. I just really want to hear everybody's you know, how they felt for the past, I don't know, however many hours it's been. But my thing is this: does freedom of speech equate to the freedom to disrespect? Like, I think people really walking a fine line when we having a conversation about freedom of speech, and they just like, yeah, we got the freedom of speech, and I'm just going to take it and run with it. You know, it's a consequence to everything, bro. Like, that's his life. That's basic, like, understanding. Like, if you don't if you don't understand, if your parents never taught you, like, watch what you say, like watch how you move, then I really don't know what to say, because having our First Amendment and having the freedom of speech, and you just running around saying nigger, 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 like, bro, like, you can't. It's going to be a reaction, and it's not even us who did none of this, but he spewed a lot of hate. But bro, like, it's going to be some type of like consequence to that. Like, and I hope people in life, I hope if you listening to this space, I hope you understand that it's consequences to everything. You can't just run around saying bullshit and, acting like ain't nothing gonna happen. Another thing too with politics, like people were saying he got shot for his political views. Like I don't. A lot of his stuff was ignorance, bro. Like that has. It's not political. It's not legislation. It's not like a lot of his shit was just pure ignorance. It had nothing to do with politics, and people kind of just mixing the dope up. Like it was political. Him saying that black women or have lower brain capacity is not political. You know what I'm saying? Him talking about black deaths and what's going on is not political, bro. It's not him being a Republican or him having a certain ideology that's right leaning, that's right leaning or nothing, bro. Like, so it's kind of like we having a conversation or people having this conversation talking about Charlie Kirk and they kind of just mixing the dope all up and like, bro, like, I think we just gotta just peep and understand and just see what's going on. Like, I don't know who bro pissed off, but
But see, to your first point, as far as, disrespect, right? I think that's a slippery slope because everybody's level of disrespect is different. Like, how do I know what's disrespectful and to other people, right? Just regularly living life, right? And so if we go down that path of, quote unquote disrespect deserves these types of consequences or just physical harm or violence in general, we gonna end up in a place in where we don't need to be. I'm gonna keep it a bean. And so with freedom of speech, in my opinion, we had the conversation about Lil Yachty, saying the line about George Floyd, right? Do I think it's dumb as hell? Of course. You're an idiot, right? But should he not have the right to say it? Because if we open that door, then what else is going to come through that motherfucking door?
It's just
yeah, but
it's convenient to who is saying it. If all the if 10 Nigerians from Twitter decided to gather up together and they started blicking down FBA members all across the fucking towns, you would say that's crazy, right? Just because you sat there and shitted on me and spread hateful rhetoric against me for 3 years straight, that doesn't give Afro-Caribbeans or African immigrants the right to kill Black Americans.
But can I speak to that real
yeah,
quick?
but hold
I'm
on, but
what
listen, man, listen, no, that's not equate. You really
that's
can't
yeah, that's
equate
not
both.
yeah, you
You can't
can't.
really equate both of them things because, like, for one, like that wouldn't make no sense because FBA rhetoric has no history of violence, none of it. Like it hurts your feelings, and that's cool. Like, but it's no history of action or violence behind none of this shit. The shit that Charlie Kirk was saying has an actual history and violence behind some of the shit he was gaslighting. It's a history in this country behind some of the shit that he was saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like.
But
I mean,
a lot of
I mean,
people feel
Martin
that
Luther
way,
King,
Sonny. A
Martin Luther
lot of
King didn't
people
have a
feel
freedom.
that way.
A,
You
a
could
lot
kill
of
them
a
all.
lot of our leaders didn't have freedom of speeches, and just off of fighting for rights that's deserved to us. Medgar Evers didn't have a freedom of speech. Dr. Martin Luther King didn't have freedom of speech. You know what I'm saying? Like Malcolm X didn't have freedom. Like people who got like assassinated and gunned down from our end didn't have freedom of speech. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that we walk in the real like so back to what Rashad was saying. Like I I think that like bro when you're talking about a group of people and you're talking about they have low IQs, they're less inferior, this and that. Like, bro, that's not you. That's you got to understand, bro. Like, it's gonna be consequences to whatever you're saying, and like you gotta. I don't know, bro. Like, it's like it's people like we need like we got to understand what disrespect
But
is. Like,
What are
who
you saying? Yeah.
who
freedom of
gets
speech
Hold
shouldn't
on.
but
give you the
Sonny,
right
who
to
gets to
disrespect
say that? There
people.
are a lot of Black people that agree with Charlie Kirk.
And
That
they're
absolutely agree with
stupid.
that rhetoric. Kill
And they're
them too.
stupid. And they're
Hold on,
Kill
wait,
them
stupid,
too.
Kenya,
one
because
second, one
they're
second. We got
stupid. They're stupid because we need to stop. Hold on, Rashad, real quick. We need to stop with this whole freedom of speech thing because that's not what freedom of speech means. Like, I think everybody forgets what freedom of speech means. It doesn't mean that you can go around saying whatever the fuck you want to say and get away with it. Freedom of speech was literally written so you can say what you want to say to your government without getting in trouble and having to retaliate your government retaliating against you. That's what freedom of speech means. Freedom of speech does not mean you can go around calling somebody the F word or doing whatever or saying whatever you want to say. No, there are consequences for whatever come out of your mouth.